Hello, and welcome to Suitcase Coder, the podcast. My name is Lara, and I host this podcast where I track my journey from joining a coding bootcamp to becoming a remote developer. My ultimate goal in life is to travel, but until then, I've been sharing my journey in hopes to help and inspire future techies, freelancers, and one day digital nomads as well. Thanks for tuning in, and let's get started on episode 20, which I'm super duper excited about. So the reason that I am so very excited about this episode 20, is the fact that I've decided for it to be the last episode of season 1 of my podcast. And I mean, that's just it. I get to decide because it's a podcast that I just started because I just did it. I did the thing. And I decided I was going to do it and I committed. And here we are, episode 20, last episode of the season. But the main reason why I'm so excited to kind of end season 1 and finish this season up is because I am so super duper pumped about season 2. There's a lot of positive changes that I want to make to this podcast, including things like, well, we'll talk about it. So this year has obviously been pretty bonkers for absolutely everybody. There's definitely been some highs, there's definitely been some lows, and we're all just kind of going through this insane roller coaster. No matter where you are, what you're facing, everybody has their own story. And so this year has been absolutely insane to say the least. But one thing that I'm so absolutely grateful for, it has been this podcast because it has motivated me to be consistent in continuing my journey into becoming a web developer. It has allowed me to meet so many cool people. So many of you guys have reached out to me, and I've absolutely loved that aspect of starting this podcast because, like I say in every episode, and I may repeat like one too many times, my goal of this thing is to help you guys and share what I know and share others who are going through the same kind of journey that I went through and hopefully not get the same hiccups that I hit. So that has been the purpose of this entire podcast. Of course, there's a lot of like added benefits that I have found from starting this podcast, and I've definitely gotten some reviews back. Thankfully, most of them have been pretty positive, but I did get a few which were very constructive, and I love hearing feedback from you guys. So if you have any comment whatsoever, leave them in the comments. Some of the negative feedback that I've got, which you guys might have guessed, is obviously the sound quality has not been great. If you've been watching on YouTube, then you can tell that I started off with these like Apple headphones, not even the Air headphones, like just like the string, and that was distracting to some of you guys. The sound on some episodes, you could barely hear me. Some of it was like you could hear dogs barking in the background. So that's one of the reviews that I got. Hopefully you can hear me a lot better in this episode because that's something that's going to definitely be improved in season 2. The second thing that I got a lot of comments on were obviously my different like environments in which I record. And if you are watching today, you can tell that I'm yet in a brand new location. The reason being, as you guys might have guessed, is that COVID has us all quarantined, and I had to get creative with the spaces. For a long time, I sat in a board game closet, and that was very distracting to a whole bunch of people. A lot of people really enjoyed it and wanted to like take a peek at all the different games that I did have. That's one thing. It's just like the environment changing all the time. One thing that I noticed that wasn't maybe like directly said, but I felt was a part of it, was the fact that I've been recording these on my computer, and that obviously kind of goes hand in hand with the sound quality, is video quality if you are watching on YouTube. And that hasn't been terrible, but it hasn't been excellent. So I have invested on better image quality for season 2 as well. All of these things I am taking in, and some feedback like for myself has been I want to do a little bit more research when it comes to each of these episodes so I can back up the points that I make rather than, yes, I'm sharing my experience, but I do want to put a little bit more research, a little bit more thought behind it, and give you guys maybe a little bit more solid examples of how to apply some of these things that I'm talking about. And I think one of the things that I'm going to be doing is, besides this podcast episodes that I want to keep short and sweet because I think it's the perfect amount of time that's still like digestible, but you still get some quality content out of it. Hopefully you think that as well. I might be doing like episodes and then going into it a little bit deeper on my YouTube channel. And another thing that I'm very much looking forward to is having interviews here and there within my podcast episodes, whether that's during the actual podcast episodes or have them be extra episodes kind of in between. There's so much to look forward to that I'm so excited about, and I really, really hope that you guys do come back for season 2 because it's going to be it's going to be good. I just want to mention that I'm so grateful that I actually made the decision to start the podcast and that I just did it given the resources that I had. Despite the resources that I had, they weren't the best, but I had something, so I started it, and here I am, episode 20, and I am super pumped about season 2 because I've learned a lot, and there's a lot more that I want to provide in these podcasts, as well as like some other resources. So if you take anything away, let it be this. If you're thinking of doing anything, just do it. Take the resources that you have currently and just start. The worst that can happen is that you don't like it after trying 1 or 2 times and then you let it go. That's fine. But just the fact that like you gave it a try, then you won't have that thought lingering in your mind like, oh, I should have done this, or I should have started 2 years ago. So yeah, that's really like what I have to say about that. Oh, and of course, one more thing coming on season 2 is going to be a more strict schedule, so you can always expect my podcast episodes to come out at the same time every week, as well as my YouTube videos for this podcast to come out also at the same time every week. And please, if you haven't done so already, if you have enjoyed this season, please rate and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, as well as if you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell thing, and leave comments below, because all of this helps me create better content for you guys. And one last thing, if you do have any more feedback that you want to see in season 2, please let me know. Reach out. I have loved speaking to so many of you guys on LinkedIn, Zoom, Instagram, all of these things. So don't be shy to reach out and provide criticism. I take it very well because I see it as a way to better this podcast for you. So yeah, thank you so much for tuning in to season 1 of this podcast. And I hope to see you in season 2, and bring your friends. It'll be fun. It'll be a good season. All right. Have a great couple of weeks. I'll catch you guys on season 2. On season 2.